Coming up on our show, which fabrics to use when you first start sewing, a fashion detail used by my favorite designer, Geoffrey Beene, and 2 books to use for your sewing library. I'm Margaret Livingston, and this is Sew Simple Now, the show that takes you from homemade to custom made. When we think of homemade food or a home-cooked meal, what comes to mind? We think of the best ingredients made from scratch by someone who wants to please us, shared times with people we care about. Homemade food has a positive meaning for almost everyone. When we think of homemade clothes made with loving hands at home, a different image comes to mind. We probably think of something very unfashionable, poorly made, and maybe even dowdy. But suppose your mother was a professional dressmaker. Maybe she had clientele that wanted the best workmanship and beautiful fabrics. You would never think, even though if she worked in her home, you would never think of these things as homemade. This is what I want for you. I want you to be able to express your personality through the clothing that you make. When you first start sewing, use non-wiggly fabrics. You want something that's stable and easy to use. This is something I made from linen and grass cloth. And it was very easy to do and easy to work with. Cotton is another one that's easy to use. And the dress that I'm wearing is made from cotton. And it's just easy to use and won't get you frustrated and upset. This is an example of a silk. It also has velvet in it, which means that it's very hard to sew on. It's very wiggly. Here's another fabric that you shouldn't use, a silk. Beautiful fabric, but hard to sew on. In a later show, we'll be filming at a beginner's sewing class where I'll be teaching the students how to make a reversible jacket made from an very easy Vogue pattern. Now for a technique from my favorite designer, Geoffrey Beene. Geoffrey Beene was a wonderful designer. He used texture and line beautifully. He died in 2004, and I still miss clipping his beautiful things out of fashion magazines. One technique that he used was rows of top stitching, and this is an example from the book Beene on Beene of that technique. You can see that they're evenly spaced, and they have some padding in between so that the stitching stands out. He also used metallic thread, which created a dressy detail on an evening jacket or coat. Another thing he did was used raised piping along a seam line. This one is on the shoulder. Very beautiful detail. This is the reason that he is my favorite designer. He just had so many beautiful details that he used over and over again. And we will, in following episodes, in later episodes, we'll be using these kind of techniques. If you want to start a sewing library, there are 2 books that you should start with. The first one is Rita's Digest Complete Guide to Sewing. My copy is 26 years old, but they do revise it from time to time, and I refer to it fairly often. It's a great comprehensive book to have. The second one is Fabric Savvy by Sandra Betsina. It lies flat so that you can use it easily when you're sewing, and it will tell you which thread, which needle, and which presser foot to use, and also some facts about the fabric itself. I found it just invaluable, and I use it and refer to it often. That's all for now. Next time we'll have an easy project for the home for both beginners and advanced students, techniques to make you look like a better sewer, and lessons from Balenciaga, a Spanish designer who designed during the 40s through the 60s in the architectural style. See you then.